Hormones, think of this. Hormones are produced by glands, of which there are 12. So let's just call this is a gland here. Let's say your thyroid. Now your thyroid produces a hormone, and that is a carrier of it's a communication carrier. That's exactly what it is. And your glands make up the endocrine system. And what the endocrine system is a really complex series of glands and hormones working together to carry information. And that's me putting it really simply. So the pituitary gland in your brain gets stimulus from the environment, let's say, and that causes the pituitary gland to release a signal, hormone. Once that hormone is released, there will be receptors in other areas of the body that take in, if you like, those hormones. And once they get that signal, that communication signal, there's a feedback signal goes back to the pituitary to say it might be blood pressure. Blood pressure is high, pituitary gland goes, right, you bugger. Let's switch on. Let's send this communication to the areas of the body that needs it. Areas of the body that need it, bring your blood pressure down to normal again. It might be your body temperature. It could be blood sugar, something. Brings it back down to a normal level where your body could adjust and function properly. That feedback signal goes back to the gland to say, switch off. And it happens. Your body is amazing. It's a phenomenal thing, your body. Every single body watching me. So there's little receptors that take in these communications, these hormones. And sometimes the receptors get blocked. And that causes a hypostate or a hyperstate. A hyperstate is when you've got too much of a hormone or a build-up, and a hypostate is when you've got low hormone or a reduced amount of hormone. So I will be jumping ahead in my notes because, as you know, I write them and I never stick to them. So at this stage, all you need to know is there's a gland. There's a communication, because we're going to talk about ovaries, we're going to talk about estrogen, we're going to talk about loads of different things, and this is a basis or a foundation for everything that's to come. So it's going to stack up to the point that you're going to feel really well informed by the time I'm finished with you. Okay. We get in the environment what's called endocrine disruptors, unfortunately. Now, before you came to me on Feel Look Be, I'm probably suggesting, making a sweeping statement, that you were eating a lot and exposed to a lot of endocrine disruptors. Now, they come in the form of processed food. Your fat is actually an endocrine disruptor. Toxins, pesticides, herbicides, insecticides, alcohol, sugar. These are all endocrine disruptors, and what they do is they disrupt the communication between gland and hormone and receptor and back again. They disrupt it, they interfere with it to the point that it causes and wreaks havoc in your body. And sometimes low or high hormone levels are really hard to be detected sometimes, and it takes a long time before you've got a hormone issue, a real bad issue, before it actually shows up in a test, in a lab test. So right now maybe nothing's shown up, but generally if you're eating the wrong foods, if you're drinking too much, if you're smoking, if you're doing all the things that you know that you shouldn't be now, they're all endocrine disruptors, and it's really only a matter of time before something actually does show up. That's pretty much nailed on, isn't it? So that's an endocrine disruptor. Okay, let's jump on to estrogen. Now, there are many different hormones in your body, but there are some specific that's absolutely relevant to your health, to female health. And one of them that I'm going to cover tonight is estrogen. Now, the problem is a lot of environmental factors or endocrine disruptors mimic estrogen. Any GMO foods, any genetically modified foods have been bathed, if you like, in a sea of estrogen because of the glyphosate, and soy, and corn oil, and cottonseed oil, and oilseed rape, and canola oil, And all of these oils that I've told you to stop using, I've asked you, in fact, I've basically pleaded with you, please don't use them oils, please go and chuck them out. And I was doing it for a reason. But soy, for example, a lot of vegetarians, a lot of vegans, a lot of meat eaters eat soy, but it really does mimic estrogen in the body, particularly non-organic soy. So when we talk about estrogen, without getting into too much detail, there are 3 different types of estrogen, and there is none that's really worse than the other. Obviously we need estrogen, but sometimes we have a problem that's either high or low estrogen. Tonight I will take you through some high estrogen symptoms and signs and things that you can do to offset it, because it's really, really common. You've got your own estrogen, you've got your own hormonal issues going on. And then you eat all this garbage, all this crap, all this stuff that's laden in chemicals that just mimics estrogen. So no wonder cancer is on the increase, massively. No wonder there's a whole host of problems that I'll take you through in a minute. It is no surprise. And until we actually get a grip of this stuff, until you actually understand why I promote organic food, you don't really get it. You just go, nah, I'm not paying 20 pence extra for a pint of milk. No, no doing it, Booth. No. Until you hear all this stuff, and you hear about the symptoms, and then you go, that sounds like me. Okay, I think I might give this organic stuff a try. And then you do, and then you implement my education, and before long, your symptoms have gone. And I just want you, who's listening, there's 71 of you listening, I want you just to put me if this happened to you. Just put me if this happened to you. Before long, you're a wee bit cynical, thinking, I'm not doing X, Y, and Z. I'm not showing up on workouts. I'm not listening to mindset. My mindset's good. And I'm definitely not eating anything that's organic. And slowly started to change, and you started to see the results. And your body feels a lot different. You look a lot different. You feel a lot different. So this is why this education is so, so important. And you cannot miss a life. You can't even miss one. Not a single one. So there's a 16-hydroxy and a 2-hydroxy, and there's 3 different types of estrogen. I don't really want to cover that. It's important, but not massively. The 16-hydroxy, if there's too much exposure to that, then it's cancer promoting, and the 2-hydroxy is cancer preventing. But really, it's just a case of ratios. Too high of a certain amount isn't good. Too low of a certain amount isn't good. It's finding this equilibrium, and that's what we're after. This is called working towards optimal health. Your optimal values of blood pressure, blood sugar, hormone levels. This is called optimal. This is why I tell you or ask you to work with me here, because I'm trying to lead you to optimal health. And there's no amount of refined carbohydrates and sugars and breads and cereals and pastas and low-fat alternatives that are going to do that for you. They're just not. They're going to work the opposite way. They are endocrine disruptors. Okay, so every single month, one of your ovaries does the job of producing the estrogen that you need. But in a lot of cases, women have a problem with estrogen dominance. There is too much of a certain type of estrogen. And as I say to you, it's no secret and it's no surprise because of all the crap that you're eating. And here are some of the things that could show up as. Cysts. You might have cysts on your breast or in your ovaries. Really common. You've heard of that. You've maybe been for a smear and there's cysts in there. You hear about polyps, you hear about different stuff. For me, that's going to happen. Too much estrogen, that's nailed on. This is probably, we don't even hear a fraction of how many women suffer with this. Polycystic ovarian syndrome, loads of different things. Heavy, crampy periods. Maybe you don't have periods from one month to the next. It's very irregular, but when they come, they're like, woof, and they wear you out. You're out the game. You're maybe even a bit anemic because of the amount of blood loss. Heavy, crampy, horrible, painful periods. Headaches, really, really common because of this issue. Fluid retention. Maybe your belly goes really, really big and you've got a big solid belly maybe a week before. So there's a progesterone and an estrogen. Let's not cover that tonight. That's for another night. Forget I said progesterone. I'm coming on to Fibroids or endometriosis, really common. Cancer, and a lot of people get prescribed tamoxifen because it blocks the receptor. Gallstones, because estrogen concentrates the cholesterol to form little stones. That could be really, really painful. Estrogen dominance could cause that. Who knew that? Did anybody ever tell you that? Probably not. So you think your gallstones is something completely different. Nobody really tracks it back to. In fact, this is the problem for me. You present with something, you've got an issue. Nobody actually goes out their way to get to the bottom of that issue. They manage it for you. So you're probably managing the problem through medications. When a lot of this stuff is a really easy fix if you just do the right things and you're hell-bent on getting to the root cause. You need to understand the root cause to fix it. And generally what they do is they try and manage the hormone situation and they don't support the gland. I think you need to support the gland, and in turn that will impact positively on the hormone. When medications work with the hormones, what about the gland? They're producing it, so why don't we try and fix it? Or why don't we get to the root cause of it? Well, no, because you would end up far too healthy, and these big companies wouldn't make the money that they already make from you and your doctors, and everybody is prescribing the medications. So that's estrogen dominance. Also, a thyroid issue, a hypothyroid issue, a lot of the time is secondary to an estrogen dominance problem, and I'll tell you why. Estrogen competes for the receptors on the thyroid. So what they do is they block the receptors on the thyroid. Shouldn't even be there. Get away estrogen. No, it's flooding the thyroid and it blocks the receptors. So the thyroid hormones and the thyroid function, it can't perform like it should. And so that shows up as hypothyroidism. You think your thyroid isn't working. Actually, it's the estrogen problem, which is then, in turn, could be linked to the liver and the gallbladder. We'll get to that in a minute. So hypothyroidism could be fixed. You think that you're on thyroxine forever, and this wee thing in here is shrivelling up and stopping working because nobody's really fixing it for you. Nobody's really getting to the root cause for you or explaining anything to you. Okay, fine. So what causes estrogen dominance? Been through that. Environmental estrogens and soy protein isolates. You find a lot of these in the processed foods, the baby food even, the protein bars, the diet, let's just call it shit because that's what it is. The pre-packed diet foods, the under 500 calories, crap, garbage, never touch it. Soy protein isolates, not good. Small amounts, fine, but because it's in everything, it's a real major problem. And it's actually been linked, there is a research to link it to fibroids, soy protein isolates. Non-organic food causes estrogen dominance because of the environmental estrogens. And remember, milk from a commercial cow, not an organic cow, but milk from a commercial cow is full of hormones and growth hormones. And you then drink the milk, and so you've got your own hormones and you've got this cow's hormones, and it could even be synthetic hormones that it's been injected with. So before long, you've got a real issue. You don't even know it, you're just drinking milk. Who knew? HRT could cause estrogen dominance, birth control medication, and liver problems. Now, I'm going to come on to the liver all by itself on another education because it is a massive topic, but the liver is your body's cleansing unit. It's the powerhouse cleansing unit. And what the liver does is it cleans everything up, but it can decompartmentalize toxins and help your body cleanse and get your estrogen levels in balance. Your liver does that. But what if you've got a fatty liver? Non-alcoholic fatty liver, or fatty liver caused by alcohol, or cirrhosis, or scarring in there? What if your liver isn't performing like it should because you've been tanning the bevy? You have been drinking excessively for too long and you know it, but you enjoy it at the time, or it's become a problem and you're rolling with it. It's not showing up in a blood test, so you think you're getting away with it. What if your liver's not performing like it should? It can regenerate. The liver's amazing. As soon as you stop all the crap, it could really support your body and change so many different things. But that could also cause estrogen dominance because it's not doing its job. It can't do its job because it's fatty. It's fatty because you're eating refined carbohydrates and sugars, drinking too much alcohol, and you're not looking after yourself. That's an endocrine disruptor in itself. There's not enough people, not enough doctors, not enough specialists talking about fatty liver. Fatty liver it's like for me, it's like the next biggest thing that everybody's going to be talking about. And it's prevalent, it's in children. Children now have fatty liver when they're under 10. And one of the biggest causes is high fructose corn syrup. And that's in everything as well. Fresh orange juice. Don't even give your kids it anymore. Fresh apple juice. It's pure fructose. And if you've got an issue, now I can say this because I've seen it, and I'm always upfront with you, right? I've worked in education a long time, and when I've seen parents that have weight issues, I've often seen children with weight issues as well. And then I see what they eat, and it really is just a lack of education. It's not any badness at all, but it's lack of education. People think that giving your children this on top of all the other shit that they're eating is good for them because it's vitamin C, right? It's really good to give your kids fresh orange juice in the morning. But if that child is overweight, potentially with fatty liver, that's just flooding the liver. How is the child expected to work? You're learning your child, but who's learning you? Who are you learning from? It's not doctors, is it? It's not teachers. So who is it then? It's nobody. So it's not your fault. I need you to know that, by the way. It's not your fault. So, soy protein isolates, because they're so cheap, they're in everything. Birth control, liver problems. Okay, fine. But bear in mind, the synthetic estrogens that are in HRT and things, it's taken from pregnant horses. Did you know? Pregnant animals. Really, really interesting. Okay, how are we getting on? That's nearly past, right. Here are some of the symptoms. Night sweats, estrogen dominance, night sweats. In fact, some of the symptoms of estrogen dominance and low estrogen look the same, but they sound something like this. Night sweats, depression, anxiety, sleep problems, you've lost your libido, heavy periods, cramping, bloating, feeling off colour, feeling flat, feeling like there's nothing really to live for. You've lost your mojo. Know that thing of that drive thing? It's fucking gone. It's got up and left. You just feel like shit, and you feel like nobody understands you, nobody gets you, and people in your household just think you're an old and moan, and you're just getting old. And actually, it's a hormone issue. It's a gland issue and a hormone issue, and it could be fixed. You could support it, and it all comes down to how you're living your life, what you're eating, how much you're moving or not, how much you're listening to all this stuff or not. You can actually make a difference from this very live, I promise you. Because so many people have. And I don't just make this up because you see them. So what I'd like you to do is avoid commercial milk, or commercial dairy. If it's not organic, I tell you not to eat it. And I tell you not to eat it for all these reasons. And if you have an estrogen dominance problem and you know it, I would even go so far as to maybe even cut dairy out for a while. See how you go. See what your symptoms are like. Do you feel better? You can track that back to dairy. Meats and vegetables. I obviously tell you to go organic. Cruciferous vegetables. Now, I released my cleanse product. See if you want to clean your liver and help your liver cleanse. This product is absolutely phenomenal. There's chlorella in here, there's sea greens in here, there's dandelion root. This product is absolutely brilliant. I can't tell you how good it is. And on the front it says, clean green super blend to aid digestion and natural cleansing utilising iodine to support healthy thyroid function, energy levels and skin. It is phenomenal. You need iodine. In fact, I'm coming on to that. It's called Cleanse. It's part of my, I've got 4 supplements. I wouldn't get, some of you might pick and choose depending on, you know, what you think. They come as a pack. They can come individually as well, but by the time I'm finished with you, you're going to think, right, okay, I need to get my hands on these. All of them. No binders, no chemicals, no bulking agents, no emulsifiers, nothing. Everything is from Mother Earth. They are incredible. So I was going to tell you about cruciferous, a concentrated cruciferous greens, anything green, iodine. Now listen, iodine could suppress thyroid hormone. So hypothyroidism is when you don't have enough. And if greens could suppress that, then that could push it down even more. So if you have a hypothyroid issue, the doctor would probably say to you, don't eat too many greens for that reason. If it's a hyperthyroid issue, then I would suggest you eat greens, you eat cruciferous, because that will push the hormone, you're producing too much hormone, and the greens will help push it down. So hypo and hyper are very different. But if you're just the normal population with your thyroid is fully functioning and there's no issues, definitely this. If you've got a hypothyroid issue, you don't need it. There's greens in our meal plans, you're going to be fine with that. Okay, iodine comes in the form of sea kelp, which is in here, and seafood. Boron is another mineral which could balance estrogen. Please look into that. These are things that you can do to offset estrogen dominance. Cruciferous vegetables, green, leafy, salads, broccoli, kale, bok choy, all that stuff. And the concentrated element of it, or concentrated version, if you like, I'm struggling for the word, can't think, is called DIM. And it really is just a concentrated green cruciferous combination. And it's really great to help your liver cleanse. And in turn, it will help your thyroid, it will offset the estrogen problems that you've got. And my supplement, things that could help you. Okay, I think I'm done. The last thing I'm going to say is the adrenal glands are responsible for helping your ovaries when they start to slow down. Your ovaries will start to slow down about, well, it could be anything. It should be about 52, but because of all these endocrine disruptors and environmental factors, it could be before that. So when your ovaries start to slow down and retire, your adrenal glands go, poof, there's some estrogen for you, we've produced it for you. So you can get through menopause okay. But if your adrenals are weak or burnt out, or you've been stressed for a long period of time, you might have adrenal burnout. Your adrenals might be under a lot of pressure. So to support the ovary, that's really tricky. So you need to learn about that too.